For those of you I've not met before, my name is Christy Roberts, and 20 days ago on the 14th of March, my beautiful 18-year-old son died in a car accident. Now, this is clearly every parent's nightmare, and I didn't get to say goodbye. I don't get to hug him. I'll never see him again. He's just gone. And I've recorded this rather than going live because clearly it's quite emotional, and I've got some notes to help me as well. But I think, whilst my grief is incredibly profound, I can't help but notice how many people are grieving right now, and in so many different ways. People are losing jobs. There's financial insecurity. They may be medical workers or essential workers and be really stressed, or especially the medical workers, what many of them would be experiencing would be incredibly traumatic. I'm seeing stories online about people having to isolate from their children and separate from their loved ones because for their safety or their family's safety, they need to self-isolate and protect them. There are people that will be going through the normal grief and traumas like broken down relationships, family issues, dealing with physical health and mental health issues. Like, there's so much stuff going on right now, and I think as coaches and we're just really fortunate to be able to leverage our knowledge and leverage our experience and our education to help us through these challenging times. But we're really well placed to be reaching out to others in our community and to our clients to help them through some of these things. The main reason I'm doing this video is to reiterate the impact of some of the COVID-19 restrictions and the relevance and the impact that they're having on people who are really grieving at this time, because this is not normal time and not normal experiences. And I don't know if you're not grieving, if you'd think about some of these things. So I think it's worth sharing some of my experiences. And we are all unique, and we all definitely grieve differently. So just be mindful that these are my experience. So, typically during a time of such sudden and tragic loss like I've experienced and am experiencing, I'd be surrounded by people that I love. I'd be getting hugs. I'd have that connection. My community would be there for me, but this is not available to me right now. Typically a funeral for a very much loved 18-year-old vibrant, larger than life character that my son was, would be brimming out the doors, and finding a venue large enough would be a challenge. There'd be hundreds of people. This didn't happen. So there's hundreds of young adults out there really grieving that didn't have that connection of touching his coffin and saying farewell to him in a normal way. That's going to affect people moving forward. I did manage to hold a funeral. I actually pushed to have it earlier because I was fearful about COVID-19, and I did get it through on the last day before the 10-person restrictions were enforced. So I did have 75 people there, which added its own challenges to the whole process, but that's another story. And I did manage to live stream it, so I am incredibly grateful for that. Typically, I would exercise, like I would swim a couple of kilometers a week. I would do the 1,000 steps. This is not available to me. So things that I find soothing, relaxing, meditative, and to get my energy going, I have to work differently. I started going to the beach and just dunking in the water and crying and calling out to Aaron, and I found that really soothing. And then the beach is closed, so that's not available to me. My appetite's been severely affected. I had no desire to cook at all, and yet I can't go out to a restaurant. And I'm worried about even getting takeout because I'm worried about catching the virus. So whilst in many ways I'm heartbroken, my life has changed forever, I still feel strong. Like my coaching, I'm so grateful that my life's journey led me through to coaching. I'm grateful for so many things because I understand how our minds work and I understand how to process information. And this is where, at Coaches, we're really at the forefront of a lot of this work. And so whilst it's devastating, I feel incredibly grateful. I had a one-on-one with Matt Lavaz. Matt, you may remember this if you watched the video. And I totally suppressed my emotions, and Matt talked to me about the emotions model, of naming it, owning it, feeling it, and letting it be. And I've been working with that for a couple of years now, which has really put me in good stead today. I think grief is something that we don't know much about until we're thrown into it. And I think the interesting thing, and I'm really noticing that we all grieve very differently. So I'm noticing that some people are teary all the time, people I wouldn't expect. And that's actually very healthy because they're expressing. Others are angry. Others are withdrawn. People are feeling guilty for feeling happy or forgetting what's going on. And there's just so many layers to this. But the thing to check on is that, are we functional? Are we being functional? Because if we're being functional, that's okay. But if we're not being functional, then that's cause for concern. And that's where we need to be reaching out and getting support from other people. So one thing I really have noticed is that our bodies, the human body, is just this phenomenal thing. And for me, what happened was my survival instincts kicked in. And I don't feel it as much now because I've just done some deep work, but I was feeling really shocked and numb. My emotions were swinging like a pendulum, and they still are. Like I can just cry at the drop of the hat, and which is why I'm pre-recording. Mostly I'm okay, and often I just feel normal, and happy even. It's just this pendulum swinging of emotions. I do know over time the numbness and the shock wears off, and this true reality of my future will sink in. But for now, I'm kind of just plodding and going easy on myself. And but I find purpose and meaning in helping others, and my son did this too. So it's my promise to him that I'll continue this work and be really great at what I do. And so I'm really committed to just processing grief, finding out as much as I can about grief and just sharing it with other people. I think the best gift we can give a grieving person is just to hold space for them. Whatever they're feeling in the moment is okay, and our mirroring technique that we've learnt through TCI is really, really powerful for this. So, be there when someone says they're not okay. That's okay, just be there. Don't be fixing it, don't be giving them advice, don't be talking to them about time will heal, because that's not helpful for us at the moment. I think it's also important to note that feelings are very fleeting in nature. So if we process our feelings, they move through, and that's all normal, and that's very healthy. But it's when we're not processing and we suppress our emotions that they get locked in us, they get trapped, and that energy is really not healthy. So, that can, if emotions aren't processed, they turn into moods, and moods can turn into depression and anxiety and other things. So it's important to understand that. So this is what I tell people who are grieving. I tell them, if you feel sad and you want to cry like it's the goddamn Olympics and you are going for gold. Cry your heart out and do it well. If you feel angry, it's really important to process your anger. It's important not to suppress it, and don't let it escalate. So, especially in these times when we're self-isolating, I'm incredibly worried about a lot of families out there dealing with anger. So ways you can express anger is get a punching bag, punch with your heart out. You can jog, you can exercise, rigorous exercise is walking, anything is really helpful for moving energy. breathing techniques, meditation, and journaling can be really useful as well as a way of getting and processing anger off your chest. You know, and if you feel happy, be happy. Like, God damn it, we deserve to be happy. We deserve to be joyful. We deserve to laugh and joke and have fun. There's no guilt with that. Like, societally, it's almost like we expect, if someone goes through a grief like what I'm experiencing, like I'm expected to grieve forever. And yes, I will, but that doesn't mean I can't also be happy. And I can't have those moments of joy and normalness. So, you know, and the other thing is, you know, with death in particular, there's no way my son Aaron would want me to be grieving and sad and unhappy. Like, yeah, of course I'll miss him and that sort of thing, but you know, he'd want me to feel as happy and normal as possible. So I tell myself that. So just remember, a healthy part of emotions is to know they'll swing like a pendulum. And I encourage you all as coaches, if you've got this far in the video, thank you. But to reach out to someone that may be grieving and just see how they're doing. And not just now, but in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, when the shock and the numbness wears off and time processes. And if they're not processing their emotions, if they turn into moods, that's when they need support more than ever. You know, we can set calendar reminders to do this. So it's really important. We just all need connection with each other, and in these COVID-19 times, that connection is more important than ever. So we can connect virtually. We can do virtual coffee chats and book people in and keep our coaching going. So we're all doing such incredibly important and wonderful work, and just keep it up, guys. Let's just really be there for everybody. Thank you.